Gather around, gals. Hey, you over there in the blue, settle down. It is snippet time. Hello and welcome to Sobriety Snippets for Ambitious Women Over 40, helping you put down the bottle and pick up conscious, happy living and having a hell of a lot of fun doing it too, right? I'm Becca Jacobson, and this is what we call a snippet. I know you know that, but just in case you're new, there you are. You're now oriented. You have entered Snippet Land, and Snippet Land is the place to be if you are 40 plus professional woman who's got it all together except the booze. OMG, right? Well, let's get started. Today, we're going to keep the momentum going. So all last week, 7 days in a row, we talked about momentum. We're not letting that stop, gals. You've got some momentum. Don't stop now. How am I going to help you keep going? Easy. Starting Wednesday, that's the day after tomorrow, we are doing together, that's right, you and me, the 5-day I'm Ready Holiday Sobriety Challenge. Listen, gals, starting Wednesday, running right through to Sunday, we're getting together every day, live in video conference. Why? Because you know what's about to happen? Black Friday, Thanksgiving, and then what? Forget about it, right? The holiday season takes over, and good luck. Good luck getting started during the holidays. Although I will say this, I have seen women do it. Last December, I had more than one woman actually start her sobriety right in the midst of the chaos. But hey, why do that to yourself? Let's do it now. So starting Wednesday is the 5-day I'm Ready Holiday Sobriety Challenge. Not only that, but 1 week from today, Monday, November 10th, we are starting our next book study. We're going to be looking together at Don Miguel Ruiz's amazing little book, The Four Agreements. There is so much going on here in Snippet Land that it can feel confusing and overwhelming. But gals, don't let it feel confusing or overwhelming. Instead, what you can do is just relax, tune in each day, check your inbox on alternate days, and I'll keep you on track. I will keep you on track. You don't need a calendar. You don't need to get out your schedule and mark down what we're doing. Yes, there's a lot going on, but my job is to look after that. Your job is to just show up. So relax, get your snippets, get your inbox goodies, and you'll be just fine. But in the meantime, something so special for you today. I want to share with you a conversation I had with a woman who came into my world through one of my live challenges, stayed with me, and has been with me for several months ever since. And not only that, but she's changed her life. She's sober, she's growing, she's happy, she's facing challenges, she's showing up. And it all started because she signed up for one of my 5-day events. But let's let her tell the story. Here is a conversation I had with the lovely Shannon. Shannon, thank you so much for joining me to do the snippets. Deeper into Snippet Land now, in the heart of Snippet Land. So I hope you're enjoying yourself. Please introduce yourself to the gals.
My name's Shannon Newton, and I joined Becca's pod, right? Like, I guess we call ourselves, we're in a little pod back in the July, I think it was July 6th. It was a Sunday. And now we're in September. So I've completed the 8-week course. And yeah, I love it here. And I'm staying on too. I live in the DC area, just outside of Washington, DC. I'm 39 years old, which
I know.
I remember when I was looking to join your community, I was really nervous. I was like, oh man, I have to come clean with my age because I'm technically not 40.
I
And
remember
you're like,
that. It was so sweet. I remember you saying, I mean, like yesterday, and we're talking about you joining, and you said, but I really have to tell you the truth. I have to be honest. I'm only 39. And I'm like, okay, that's it. You're out.
yeah. You're like, we're checking cards, before entry.
It's all good. It's all good. You're not the only one, actually. at this
Yeah.
point now that's under 40, just under 40. We don't take cards. Awesome. So you just gave us a rundown of your story. Let's start at the beginning. How did you
Yeah.
find me? Tell us your journey. And you can start anywhere you like, Shannon. It's your
Sh-
story.
Sure. Well, so my journey with Snippet Land, I am, I guess, a very decisive person. Like I see a path and I go for it and I figure it out. Right. So I think I discovered you when I was, I listened to a lot of, what do they call it? Quit literature about, quitting alcohol and that stuff. And your book came up, Prostitute to Professor. So like that came up and I was like, "Oh, that's an interesting title." And then, I went down the rabbit hole. It's like, "Oh, she has a podcast. This is great." I listened to just like a ton of them. And then I did your sacred mirror, the sacred reflection mirror thing. And it was funny when you sent the response, it initially didn't record. And when you responded to me for the second time, you said this thing at the beginning, and it was like, obviously, what I had initially sent or what I had initially recorded, it wasn't meant for you to hear, and so this one is. And I was like, "Oh, she's on that same like, I knew that we were aligned, that I could really, like, connect to you, and I got that from the snippets too. I was like, "This is a woman that I'm gonna learn a lot from," and I think that she attracts the same type of just more of the people that I want to learn from and to be around. And I kind of felt that initial connection and wanting to be a part of that community. And then when I heard your interpretation of what my reflection was, I knew that you could be the person to help me because I have been going on this cycle of, it was, I would say, really for probably about 6 or 7 years. It all started me kind of questioning the presence of alcohol in my life and whether or not it was something that I wanted to be there. Or no, maybe yeah, it was like 6, 7 years ago. That's a long that's a long time, and I was just ready for trying a different approach and knew that I needed more help, but that some of the traditional things like AA, just like that didn't speak to me, and so, yeah, just after I had
Wow.
that sacred mirror reflection, I was like, "Yes, sign me up. We're yes, go, 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 go. Let's do this."
Yes. That's actually very unique. You're very unique in that. We share a lot on this journey, but most of us have a hard time being decisive. Right. And so I love that. I'm so glad you're sharing that. Or we feel it in our heart, but we don't trust it. We've lost our self trust because of our struggles with alcohol. We think, well, maybe that's not real. We just don't know how to anchor to what feels right inside our hearts. So I'm so glad you shared that. It is safe to follow your heart when you feel a strong pull. I'm just so glad that, and I remember when I met you going, well, this woman means business and she is here to change her life. And that's exactly the type of a woman I want to help. That was just, it doesn't mean we don't struggle, but it's
Mhm.
time, enough time wasted. So it's just been such a joy to have you in my world. And yes, I remember doing your reflection and I sent it and I realized that didn't record. So yeah, it wasn't meant to be for sure. So you come in, let's talk about your first meeting with me. How did it feel? Was it okay? Was it what you expected?
My first meeting with you, it only added to that kind of immediate connection that I felt through listening to the snippets, but I felt like you really cared. It's like, wow, this woman doesn't even know me, but like I can tell that she genuinely cares about being able to help people. And that's something that you can't fake, like you either mean it or you don't. And I could really tell that you were very genuine and you also aren't messing around either. Like you're going to give me real feedback and you're not going to coddle me. And I don't like the like, oh, it's okay. And da, 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 da. I need someone that's going to really like hold me accountable and be able to call me out in a loving way. Like you can still hold people accountable and say, let's dig a little bit deeper here and you can hold that kind of tension and accountability with love and respect as opposed to just saying like, "Oh, well, just go na 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 na." And
We can get that anywhere on any social media. Oh, poor you. It's everywhere.
yeah,
It's
well,
not what we need.
okay, thank you for saying that because it's the victim. We're not victims. We're not victims, and that was something that really, like, shows in your teachings. It's the take control of it. There are so many things that are outside of our control, but I love the way that you focus on, but what is in your control? Because when you focus on changing that, that's when you change your world, not when you put your focus on all of these things that you can't control the weather, right? So why are you putting all of your focus on trying to control the weather? You're just going to frustrate yourself. And yeah, so just when I met with you, I was like, this is an intelligent, warm, caring woman who's gonna hold me accountable and call me on my shit when I need it and get me to be the best version of myself. That's what we're trying to do. I felt that in the meeting. So
Yeah. And that's what we're here for, right? Yeah, you signed up and it's been almost just over 8 weeks and you've decided
mhm,
to stay another 6 months with me. So
mhm.
honored, so happy. So what was that initial 8 weeks like? To remind the gals out there in Snippet Land, or maybe you don't even know, the first 8 weeks with me is where we lay the foundation for our emotional sobriety. And that's where we learn the foundational mindset shifts. And it's intense, but not time wise intense. It just requires us to look at ourselves. I'm going to let
So
Shannon explain that herself. Go ahead, Shannon.
the initial 8 weeks and part of why I wanted to do this program is it was like, I have to do something different. Like, I've journaled. I've done lots of journaling. I've read the Quit Lit books. I have to do something different. And so I love the fact that you have this program where you're taking me through this 8-week journey. It's structured in a non-structured way so you can create time and space for when you can do the courses, the different coursework, and really make it work for your lifestyle. I love getting up early. That's my jam. I would incorporate it into my mornings. And I did already have like a routine and a lot of the stuff that you talk about, but you took it to a whole other level and gave me some of the missing pieces that was getting me over the hump. The first few weeks, there's a lot of the videos and that, talking about your future self, like, looking at your future self, where you want to be like 8 weeks from now. You also go into and I'm excited to learn more about this and dive deeper is in the releasing of emotions. And so I think that that's like a big part where you go into the past and you look at like what are all of these moments, these things that my mind keeps going back to. And that's part of why we drink. It's that we're not able to properly process those emotions and feelings and so then we're going to well, what's our crutch? What's going to get us through this? The tried and true. That
Or
that glass of wine, that shot of vodka, that mixed drink, like, whatever that is.
I love how you started by saying you knew you needed to do something different. And that's just it. It's like when we've got this habit, this cycle going, whether it's a binge drinking cycle or a daily cycle or whatever, we have to do something jarring to break the pattern. The subconscious otherwise just will not change. You'll just end up going back again. Something new has to come in where the subconscious is actually going, I don't even know what's going on. I don't recognize anything. None of this is familiar. What does it mean? It means I'm not drinking.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, she means business, right? So, like, there are a lot of women in Snippet Land hearing us who are still drinking. Shannon, how
Yeah.
hard was it for you? Were you drinking the day you met? When you joined? And how hard was it to quit? Tell us that part, if you don't mind, please.
No, I love this question. So, I had stopped drinking for a week. It was I think I did start, like, a week prior. I was like, "Alright, I'm quitting again." And I love that you just brought up cycle because I had a quitting cycle. I would quit for several months at a time. I even quit up to a year one time, but I didn't truly quit. And it's because I didn't do the work that you go into in that 8-week course. It was, like, well, I've got to quit because it's not good for me. And, really, it's not good for me. I'm not doing the things that I want to be doing when I drink. But I didn't know, I didn't understand the how and the why I kept going back to alcohol. And so, one of the many things that you talk about is that it's really not about the alcohol. Alcohol is just the thing that speaks to us to be that crutch, that release. And you do so much work on understanding our thoughts, our feelings, how they're tied to our actions, a lot on envisioning and looking at that future self. And then how do you be that future self right now in that moment? And so there's a lot of work on going to the past to kind of understand yourself better, then future work to kind of envision who is that person that you want to be, and then tying it back to the present so that the things that are going to turn you into that person, like how do you be that person right now in this singular moment, in that moment in time? Because doing what that future person would do in that moment is what turns you into that
Yeah.
person in the future.
Yeah.
But that's so much of what your coursework is. It's the past, present, and future.
So you had a week of
Mhm.
sobriety, and that was another sort of a cycle, and
Sorry, yeah. Mhm.
you wanted it to continue.
So I had had a week and I was like, I I call myself in a loving way, one of my nicknames when I'm acting not in the fullest power of myself is Shanny Pants. I'm like, all right, Shanny Pants, come on. Like, let's get it together. You've got to do something different.
Skinny pants. Oh
like,
my.
like, come on, come on. You got to call in some reinforcements here because you've done this for 6 years. And it would be typically twice a year. I would quit drinking for anywhere from 1 month to I think like 3 or 4 months at a time. And I would do this twice a year and I had done it for like 6, 7 years after I had gotten that year. So I did a year almost like cold turkey. And you had asked me, why do you think you were able to quit for that year? And it dawned on me that that was when my sister was real. My sister had cancer and she had a 2-year-old. And I was able to distract myself with taking care of her because that's what a lot, and it's not so much, I don't want to say it's just women, but I think that this happens a lot with women when we have to go into caretaker mode and we have to like that it's easy for us to distract ourselves with that. And then
Yeah.
once she got better, then it was like, oh, okay, well, things are okay. And it all started with like a glass of wine. I
Right.
had a
Yeah.
glass of wine and then it just went from there. And so I was in this quitting cycle.
Shannon,
Mhm.
the thing is, that's really common. That's why every woman I speak to says, well, obviously I didn't drink during my pregnancy, like without exception,
Mhm.
And so, I mean, I know some women do, but I haven't met any yet. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But the point here is when we're in care mode for others, so your sister needed you, you found it. My goal, my secret evil goal, is to get women to go into care mode for themselves. You got to show up for yourself now, and you need you, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and we don't want to do it. Rob, I'm good. I got this. I'm good. Because you're a professional woman. You have a young daughter. You're a successful woman. It's not like you're falling down drunk all over the place. You're showing up for life, but you know alcohol is not serving you. And
Yeah.
that is a lot of us here in Snippet Land. So, yeah, anyway, a little sidebar there. Tell me about well, you can go anywhere you want, but I'd love at some point to hear about the other gals and your relationships you built inside of the perspectives, if you don't mind.
So you brought up something that sparked something in my head how, a lot of the women in the group from the outside of the community, like if you didn't know that this woman was in this community, you would think, man, she's got it all together. Like she's great. She's good. She doesn't have a drinking problem. And so part of what I loved about this community was that I was able to come in and say, I have a problem. Like, I feel that I have a problem with drinking. And because it's a problem for me, it's a problem. And there isn't any other person coming in to say, well, I'm looking at your life and I don't think it's really a problem. I don't think that you have a problem. Or, oh my gosh, you have a problem? Are you? It's the judgment, whether you think that I am this raging alcoholic or that I'm just over exaggerating. There is no judgment. It's we don't care like how much you drink, like what your drinking level is. If you're here, we're here to support you and we're not going to judge you and we're going to cheer you on. And I've never been able to experience that because I've never felt safe enough to like really communicate how alcohol it has impacted my life, how I don't want it to be in my life. Another thing that I found outside of the community is that anytime you kind of question your own type of drinking and you're trying to share it with someone, and they drink, then they're like, "Well, is she judging me? Is she judging my drinking?" And so you just don't feel like you have the safe space to talk about your relationship with alcohol without either being judged by others or having others think that you're judging them. And so the community, it's just you can put all of your guard down. You can just put it all on the table and say, "This is what I'm going through." And you have people saying, "You are being so brave and you've got this." And, or say, like, "Hey, I've slipped up. I've had a hard time," and reach out. And, sometimes some of the women will kind of go off for a couple of weeks and then they come back and it's like, "Hey, I had a really hard time." And there isn't any judgment of like, "Well, you can't be here anymore. Like, see you later." It's, "We're so glad that you're back and you've got this. And this is a part of the journey and it's okay. And you're going to be able to get through this. And you just have to keep on going." And it's funny, I've actually never met Katie because she was on another call,
Right.
but Katie, I would say something on like I would put in a post and she would respond back with that beautiful Southern velvety voice of hers. And I would just feel like so relaxed and so connected.
Yeah, Katie's, for those of you out there who may have
Oh,
missed it, Katie shared her story here on the Snippets last month in August. I'll put the link to her episode in the show notes
yeah.
for you. But yeah, Katie's amazing. You're going to meet her tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna meet a lot of, women. But yeah, there were several women in the pod that like some of the early birds, and I don't know whose names, I don't wanna, like, say names, but there are several women that are in the pod that, you get to meet with them each week and learn a little bit more about them, and you don't feel judged, you don't feel alone. You get to see a lot of success in the program, so there's a mixture of people who are just starting, and then there are others that have been in the program for over 6 months, like, and they just decided to stay on, and so you can see how the work and the coursework that you've had us go through just really it's different than any other program because it gives you the tools to be able to deal with the emotions and the feelings and the thoughts that are driving us to the drinking. It's not the alcohol. It's this thing happened and I feel really stressed out. And instead of going to have a glass of wine or like have a drink, it's I need to pause and I need to either connect with my pod or I need to journal. I need to understand why I'm feeling this way and know that processing these feelings is the best thing to
Yeah.
do and not to ignore them because, you can go and have a drink and guess what? Those thoughts and feelings are still there and
Yeah.
they're going to keep on coming back. So you've got to do the work to understand them. And I am finding that just throughout my day to day, because things are going to come up. Things are always going to come up where we have a thought, we get feelings. And the more that I am understanding how powerful my thoughts are and how I can reframe things and all of the tools that you give me. I don't have a desire to want to drink. I have a desire to understand myself and to try and find the root cause to what's going on and why I'm feeling this way.
Here's what I was thinking. The truth of the matter is, I don't know if you would agree with this or not, Shannon. There is really nothing inside of perspectives, and that's the name of the program you're in, perspectives. But
Mhm.
there's really nothing inside of there that I don't talk about on the snippets and in snippet land. And ultimately, if you're listening to the snippets over any length of time, I mean, there's over 500. You don't have to listen to 500 snippets. But if you listen to several, eventually you'll get the idea of what I'm teaching here. That is what I help you do. Take sort of the overall teachings in snippet land and incorporate them into your life. Actually do them. Actually
Mhm.
stop surface dwelling and dig in and see those changes. Does that resonate? Does that sound like your experience?
That's exactly what it is. The snippets and what you talk about on the snippets are it is what you're talking about in perspectives, but you go deeper, you give more tools, you really give a much clearer like guide. And besides all of that, the biggest key to it is the connection. You talk about community, like the community is so important. It's so important. So, there was another thing that I wanted to touch on because when we were talking about how it's not about the alcohol and how, there are things that we're all addicted to, alcohol, food. And so one of the things that I saw that was happening was I was continuing this pattern, which I have done for the last 6 years, but, like, I'll quit alcohol, right? And then I'll replace it with food. And then I would just, like, have this vicious cycle, and so one of the things that I've started doing where, yes, I'm not drinking, but I saw a pattern of, "Okay, Shannon, now you're just replacing food and overeating and, some extra desserts with what would be a drink," and so I started connecting to the pod, like, when that would happen, and it is so helpful. So, like when you're going through this journey and when maybe you're making some, unhealthy purchases, like you want to just like buy, like do some shopping or something like that, because it's very common. And you touch on this a lot is that it's really common to just replace one addiction with another, that the community is there for you for everything. Like
Yeah.
what brought us here, yeah, it is the alcohol, but they are there to support you through it all. And it's just about being a healthier, better version of yourself, being more self aware. And yeah, it's just that the support is that there's nothing like it. And that's really the differentiator of when you're doing the snippets are great. And mind you, I am trying to listen to all 500 of
Yeah.
them.
You mentioned that.
Yeah, I started back to when they were Becca's bold blurbs, and then I'm going through now they officially switched over to snippets, I don't know, maybe like 15 or 20 snippets ago, but yeah, I'm going through in fact, I'm almost a year behind now, so I'm at, like, around September
Wow.
of 2024, and I'm trying to
Well,
go through
okay,
all of
so
them.
having that's actually kind of interesting because I mean, I haven't listened, I don't remember what I was talking about in 2023, but I'm guessing it's similar. But
It is.
yeah, the theme, if you start listening to the snippets, and no, it doesn't have to be 500, but if you listen to enough, you start seeing that it's really not a whole bunch of stuff. It's the same stuff from different angles. And me trying to say, stop surface dwelling, stop,
Yeah,
right? Put this into your life. So
yes.
that's why when people ask me, well, don't you run out of things to talk about? Like, I only talk about a few things,
Yeah. Yeah,
really do.
you're connecting them to different experiences, different things that happen. You touch a lot on literature,
Yeah,
which
different
I love
experts
of.
by doing the book
Yeah,
studies. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And really all of these teachings have been around for forever,
Yeah, the
like
whole point is we need
to
practice,
act.
not theory. Yes,
Yeah.
right. Put it. That's we need to take. Yeah. So that's what we do here. And Shannon, I got to tell you, I used to be teacher, English professor, and you get an A+ on your report card for showing up. Just the
Oh,
way you show it,
yay.
you're very. I don't. Obviously, by the way, gals, nobody gets a grade, and I'm not paying. Nobody's getting. But I just want to say that with you, Shannon, that's the one thing that sort of differentiated you experience is your very systematic move through the course. You came in, okay, this is what I'm doing. Here's what's week 2. Oh, now I'm doing week 3. Whereas it's not that simple for all of us. Some of us are like, oh, I'm behind a week. I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's okay. Right. So there's flexibility in there, structure with flexibility, I guess. It's
Yeah.
you can be as
Oh,
structured as you
absolutely.
want, or yeah. So it's not like, oh my God, now I'm in the army camp kind of thing. But yeah.
And I like structure, but I do also like flexibility. And so for me, the way that the program was set up was, I mean, it was perfect and I
Awesome.
could access it. I have a young daughter, so it's like,
Yeah.
I gotta figure it out. And I wanted to share one of the things that it helped me so much. It was like really powerful for me is my goodbye letter to alcohol. That and then sharing it with the group. I mean, I was in I remember, like, it was so powerful, and you were like, "Oh, are you gonna burn it?" And I don't think I'm gonna burn the letter, and I think it's because I wanna be able to share it with my daughter when she gets older. I think it's so important that we're able to show our kids our struggles when they're ready, like, when they're good and ready. And so much of my letter is really about her and trying to be better for her, be better for myself, obviously. But like she means the world to me. And there was so much in that letter that just was a big eye opener for me. And being that vulnerable and
Yeah.
sharing it, like the stuff on that letter, I don't think anyone
Yeah.
really, really knows.
Well, it's not like you have to strip yourself bare and when you come in, but many of us do feel safe enough. I mean, for
Mhm.
me, I had carried around all those secrets, the prostitute to professor, all of those secrets I carried around. And I thought if anyone ever knew, I would be exiled from society. And if okay, granted, Amazon's not the safest space, but you get my point. And I know there are some that we can be accepted, we can be loved. And it starts with accepting and loving ourselves and
Yeah.
deciding, you know what, no matter what I've done or what's happened or what my struggles have been, I am a worthwhile, worthy, noble, beautiful human being. Spirit,
Yeah.
not even human being. So
Yeah.
and alcohol just
Yeah.
drags us down, and it breaks my heart when
Yeah.
women just come, well, you have no idea how the struggle. Yes, I do. And you're still a beautiful human being.
Yeah. Yeah, forgiveness is a really big part of your program, and
Especially self
the
forgiveness.
yes, the self-forgiveness, and I also like what you brought up about forgiving others because you talk about how some people are like, "Oh, I can't forgive this person. What they did was just so awful. It's not, like I can't forgive them." And you share a really impactful story where it's like, "Hey, if I can forgive this other human for what they did to me, just put that into perspective and consider forgiving these other people." And it's not for them. Forgiveness
Yeah.
is not for that other
No.
person. It is
Yeah.
for you because it's a part of your healing.
Yeah.
And so, like, the forgiveness piece, I think was a
I think
really
it's time I
impactful
did
part.
another snippet on forgiveness. It's been a while, but yeah, it's a huge process. It's very,
Yeah.
very important. Well, Shannon, any last words for gals out there in Snippet Land, wherever they might be? What do you got to say?
If you're listening to these snippets and you're wondering what the pod might be like and the perspectives program, do one of Becca's. You have tons of these, like it's like a week program or like just doing something like that. Get to know her, get to be around some of these other women, but it really has changed my life. And I'm so grateful because I had really been looking for something that was going to be different, and this was. And even though you talk about a lot of the same pillars of different, what is it, like AA and just like addiction type stuff, but the way that it's applied and the community, it's a beautiful thing, and that's why I'm staying on for another 6 months because I wanna go deeper, I wanna learn more, so, yeah, join our perspective pod.
How we do it. We decide to show up for ourselves, Shannon. I'm so, So glad we're celebrating you for deciding to stay another 6 months. And we're going to do amazing things in the next 6 months. And
Yeah.
Shannon, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your story out with the gals out there, because we are not alone. And it's important that we remember that. Thank you so much for being here. There you have it. Thanks again for showing up, Shannon. And gals, Shannon's story could so easily be your story. What on earth are we waiting for? Go to the show notes right now, tap the link, and let me know you're coming on Wednesday for day 1 of the 5-day I'm Ready Holiday Sobriety Challenge, and we will change your life starting now. And that's an action you can take to keep your momentum going. So tap that link, let me know you're coming, and we will change your life now. Thanks for popping in. Be sure to come back next time so I can keep your head on straight. Sending you buckets of love.